Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Catherine and this is Raspberry Reads. I am back from my summer hiatus, my summer vacation. I had a pretty good summer holiday. It was up and down, but I did manage to go camping a couple of times. One was to Devon, which if you're not from the UK, Devon is down in the southwest. It's on the coast, so lots of beautiful beaches and amazing scenery. But I hope you had a great summer and I hope you are energized for the autumn. I didn't read as much as I was hoping to read over the summer, but I have made peace with that. I was pretty tired for a lot of the summer, so any chance I got, I was just vegging out. I had a lot of naps. It was all good, but I did read quite a few chunky books, so I think I was reading consistently. It's just I didn't get through as many books. And I'm going to definitively say that it was the summer of sci-fi and fantasy, completely unintentional, that I read as many sci-fi and fantasy books that I did. It's just that was what I was feeling. And for the most part, it was because of what was available on Libby. But yeah, so I'm going to go through the 6 books that I read throughout the summer. So this is from July into the very start of September. The first book that I read back in July was Western Lane by Chetna Maroo. And this was an audiobook that I listened to. And I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was a great story. And so Western Lane is about Gopi, who is a girl who is of either Indian or Pakistani, I can't remember, origin in the UK. And it's a coming of age story that also focuses a lot on grief. And it's all about Gopi playing squash. And a big chunk of it is her wanting to go and play in a squash competition. And I just really liked it. It was a topic that I don't know anything about. I've never played squash. I liked how the discussions about grief and family were subtle but poignant. And I always enjoy reading a coming of age story, and I do enjoy reading stories about minorities in England and the kind of immigrant experience, because when the book was set, I think it was back in the 80s maybe, so it was more of an immigrant experience generationally. So yes, if you haven't read Western Lane by Chetna Maroo and you enjoy coming of age stories, then I would suggest checking it out. Okay, now diving into the fantasy. So the third book in the ACOTAR series, A Court of Wings and Ruins by Sarah J. Maas, came my way. I've had it as a hold for months. I think they're very popular books. And it just became available in late July, and I thought, okay, we're doing it, because this one, it's the pink book. I'll put a picture on the screen, but it's the pink one and it's chunky. I think it was over 1,000 pages, and I devoured it. So yeah, it's the third in the series, and it's mainly like a plot builder book. The best one I can or book I can relate it to is The Two Towers in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, where that book is a lot about sort of the development, the building of the war. There's a lot of battles in A Court of Wings and Ruins, and a lot of character relationship development. I really enjoyed it. There's not as much spice in that one, but for a good reason. It's because you're exploring sort of new relationships, and yeah, it's more plot focused, but really good, world building. That's something that I like a lot about Sarah J. Maas, is that whilst her writing isn't fantastic, she does good banter type dialogue, and her world building is well thought out. I did feel that the end of the book was a little bit rushed. A lot of stuff happened in the last 100 pages, and I felt that could have been spaced out a little bit more. But overall, I gave A Court of Wings and Ruin 4 stars. And thus far, I would say that I think the second one is my favorite. And then A Court of Thorn and Roses, and this one would be third place. But I've got the next one on my holds list, and I can't wait to continue with the series. Moving on to number 3. So I was feeling bereft after finishing A Court of Wings and Ruin, and I wanted to read more fantasy. So I ended up finding a book that was available right away on Libby, and this was Fear the Flames by Olivia Rose Darling. And I think this came out in 2022 or 23, so fairly recent. This is a fantasy book. It had really good writing. I would say actually the writing, Rose Darling, or just Darling's writing, is more sophisticated than Sarah J. Maas's, but her dialogue and her world building aren't as top tier. And it could have been a little bit stronger. So there's sort of like glimpses of magical creatures, but it's focused much more on the relationships between people, I would say. It's an enemies to lovers story, and there are some fantastic spice scenes in it. Not many, but the ones that are there are great. And it features dragons, if you like dragons, and it also features a princess of the protagonist. Helene is a princess who needs to save her dragons. Yeah, great fantasy story. I haven't read any other fantasy quite like that apart from ACOTAR, and I'm here for it. I really liked it. So if you like ACOTAR, and all of those like popular romantasy books, and you haven't read Fear the Flames, then I would recommend it to you. I can't remember if I said what rating I gave that book, but I think I gave it 4 stars. Okay, you'll be pleased to know that I finally finished the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. And I'm really sad to say that I didn't like it. I gave it 3 stars. I do think about it a lot, probably because that book has been with me since February, and I finished it in August. It's such a great idea, and the world building, the idea of the world, and all these seasons where the world comes to an end because of geological things like earthquakes and volcanoes. Really cool idea, and some well thought out characters. It was just incredibly hard to follow. You had three or four main narratives. One of them was in second person, so you, and then the other 2 were third person. And I just kept getting confused. I got so confused with this book, and part of the reason is I think that I set it down and didn't pick it up for a while, so I forgot what had happened at the beginning. But then I think upon reflection, I just lost momentum halfway through, because I persevered reading it, but it was one of those situations where you keep flipping to the end of the book to see how many more pages until I can finish this. I did enjoy the ending. It's part of a series, so it definitely left it set up to continue into the next book, I think, which is called Obelisks, or The Obelisk. But I am not going to continue with this series, at least not anytime soon. I think N.K. Jemisin's writing style and the way that she tried to have the world building, which was good, but there's a lot of vocabulary that you need to understand in order to follow the book, which is common with sci-fi and fantasy, but I did struggle with it. So unfortunately, I think that's going to be the end of the road for now, with me and NK Jemisin. But if you enjoyed the 5th season, then I'm so happy that you liked it, because it does have such great potential. The 5th book that I read is Pines by Blake Crouch. So I read another book by Blake Crouch, which name always escapes me, but it's about multiple realities. I'll pop the book up on the screen. And Pines is a thriller, a sci-fi thriller. Now, this book starts off, and I'm going to have to be very careful with this because I do recommend this book and therefore I can't have any spoilers. And I would recommend that if you were thinking about reading Pines, that you don't look at any reviews or summaries of it, because they might spoil it. So I went in pretty blind on this one, and it's about Ethan, who is a federal agent, or not federal agent, secret agent, goes to this place called Wayward Pines in the middle of Utah, and has an accident, and he wakes up and he's stuck in Wayward Pines. And it is very suspenseful. You're trying to figure out, why is Ethan here in Wayward Pines? Why can't he leave? And then at one point, I will just say that I turned to my partner Lucy and I said, what in the Stephen King is going on? Because this book took such a plot deviation from what I thought it was going to be. And I was here for it. It's not the type of book that I would normally read. Definitely playing on the sci-fi element of it. But I really enjoyed it. And so I think I'm going to continue the series. I can't remember how many books are in this series, but the first book, Pines, sets it up really well, that it leaves you hanging for more. So yeah, this is the second book that I've read by Blake Crouch, and I really do enjoy his writing. It's a very masculine writing style, so I think I tend to read, the majority of the books that I read are written by women, but you can tell that this book was written by a man, and I can't even explain myself in that, other than if you read it, it's just the words that he chooses and the things that he focuses on are very man-centered, traditionally man-centered anyways, stereotypically rather. And but besides that, I really enjoy his books. So yeah, I think I gave Pines 4 stars, and I will continue with the series maybe next year. And then the last book that I just finished reading was 84 Charing Cross Road. So I picked this book up as kind of a souvenir when I went to London a couple of years ago, and went to Foyle's bookshop, and because Foyle's is on Charing Cross Road. And this was a delightful book. It's a 2-in-1. So technically I only read the first book, 84 Charing Cross Road. There's another book that's part of the same compendium, which I might read, I might not. And this is by Helene, Hanff, and it's a compilation of letters, correspondence that Helene Hanff put together and published in the 1960s, 1970s. And it's basically from post-Second World War all the way through the 60s, of Helen's correspondence with a bookshop in London. So Helen's in the US, in New York, and the main person she corresponds with initially is called Frank, and he's at this bookshop, and she orders books from this London bookshop, and from there a long distance relationship correspondence forms. I have to admit, I didn't really like how Helen appears in her writing. She comes across as quite mean sometimes, and snippy, but I don't think it's intended that way. Just think of like a grumpy old lady. That's how she comes across in her writing. But despite her tone in her letters, demanding tone, she is a very charitable and thoughtful person, and she forms such a beautiful relationship with the people that work at the bookshop and their families that spans decades. And the bits that I liked the most in this series of letters was all about rationing in the 1950s in England, and how Helen would basically buy them parcels so that they'd have eggs and ham and whatnot for special occasions. It was just an interesting glimpse of that period of history. So yeah, that wasn't sci-fi fantasy, but nonetheless, I did enjoy reading it. It's one that's kind of hard to give a star rating for, because they're just historical documents put together, but probably 4 stars, I'd say. So those are the 6 books that I read through the summer, and they've left me feeling, one, that I want to read more sci-fi and fantasy. They're genres that I used to read a lot when I was younger, and then I sort of put them to one side into my 20s and early 30s, and now I'm revisiting them and remembering why I like to read fantasy. But that being said, because I've read so much fantasy in a very short period of time, I'm also looking forward to reading some different genres in the autumn. I think this video will come up first, will be published first, and then following it will be my autumn reading plan book, which I'm going to film just after I wrap up this one. So yeah, that just leaves me to say that I hope you're well. I hope you had a fantastic summer. I hope you've got some fun autumn reading plans ahead of you, and I'm really glad to be back filming. I feel a little bit rusty, not gonna lie, but I'm energized nonetheless to continue with my booktube channel. If you are a long-term viewer, thank you so much for all of your support. I really enjoy reading and responding to comments from the same people. It's nice to see that you enjoy engaging with my videos. And if you're new here, then thanks for checking me out. If you like my content, then please do subscribe and maybe leave a comment introducing yourself. But I will leave it there for today. So I will see you soon in a new video. Take care. Bye.